Everybody, welcome to the DBC Podloki edition, episode 5. Phil, I haven't told you this, but this is the title of the episode to get all the clickbait.
Okay.
And the title of this episode, I think, is going to be called The Most Exciting Filler Episode Ever. Agree, disagree?
I mean, I could see that. I think they did a lot of journey and a lot of extrapolation and stuff, but they obviously also got things accomplished. So
Yes.
yeah, I get what
But,
you're saying.
I mean, like, there's been my favorite episode, which was last week, had a lot of extrapolation, just like episode 2, right? They just
Right.
chatted and talked about things. This one, they chatted and talked about things, but it was kind of boring. Not boring. Not boring.
Yeah.
But, like, a lot of it didn't serve a purpose.
I mean, the main plot line probably could have been done in 15 minutes instead of.
It could have been an
45
email.
minutes. Yeah. Could that meeting have been an email? Yes.
All right, so let's get started. I don't have too many notes. You said that you had a lot of observations. You were writing down a lot more than
I was. I
in
mean,
this
it's writing
episode.
down a lot of the plot. I don't know if we want to go through that or just the kind of
We
things I
are.
noticed and
I've
stuff.
got
Yeah.
notes. So, well, you can tag me with things that I might have missed. I thought at the start with the camera angle was really cool, right? I thought it was like looking down at like a security camera type of thing, like the all-seeing eye. And I thought they were going to do something where like the Wizard of Oz was looking down on everybody.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
But maybe they were trying for something there. I don't know. But
Well, usually just with camera work that when they go upside down in a camera angle, it's to signify that something is changing or that
Right.
shifting to something new. So I think it was just sort of that effect.
right. I mean, well, yes, but like when I realized it was just camera work, it was kind of
Yeah.
like now we're kind of breaking through. Like you said, the point of view was changing, right? It was
Yeah.
no longer the timekeepers. There's now, as they referenced in the story, finally the man behind the curtain, right?
Yes.
So I'm happy with that. So my first question was because I'm still thinking about the timekeepers and getting their head chopped off. Why did they all go down once only one head got chopped off?
Yeah, I don't know if it was just all hooked up together or that whoever was controlling it or overseeing it figured that the ruse was up. And, because
Might as well just
interesting,
stop.
before they shut down, the other two started laughing. So I don't know if there's any significance to that. But
I've been thinking about that.
yeah.
I don't have an answer. I just want to tell everybody that's watching that I was thinking about it. So, and if anybody could fill in with a comment, like if that means something, I haven't seen anybody mention it. Okay, so I immediately thought we got Loki. We take up the story takes place exactly where we left off in the post credit scene from last week, and then we see a big dark cloud. I immediately start thinking of like WandaVision, chaos magic type of thing. Minus the red stuff, it was all purple stuff, or maybe kind of some Doctor Strange kind of, whatever kind of magic from what's his name from the end of the movie. Help me out, Phil. What was the big bad in Doctor Strange?
Oh, yeah. I know who you're talking about. I always
Big
forget his
demon
name.
nightmare
Yeah.
dude. In any case, that didn't turn out to be. It was like they immediately said, "This is the Void. That is Eliath, and we're his lunch," and off they run.
Yes.
So the episode started off really good. We now have a big creature. I thought the creature might have been like a, I don't know, bad guy type of thing, but we find out that it's just a guard dog, or so to speak, right? And the Void is nothing, anything, whatever. And then we just get a lot of funny sequences in this movie. I'm just going to rattle them off real quick, and then I'm going to hand it over to you, and you can tell me if there was any significance to it or what you saw. So they go off. Sylvie confronts Renslayer. He kind of like, okay, she knows her name pretty well because she named her, right? Which is, again, we talked about this last week. She's the only one of the TV that actually has a name other than Mobius. Everybody else has numbers. But she said it like, I know you, like, kind of like a, gosh, I can't remember anything right now. You killed my father, prepare to die. It was like she was, she was like practicing
Bride,
saying her name, right? Yeah, Princess Bride.
Like, she was ready for this moment of confronting the person who kidnapped her.
Right.
Kid, yeah.
So she was all ready for that, and all of a sudden, you got a sense that is Renslayer playing dumb? Does she not know what it is? And we find out that she was just playing for time to make sure she can capture Sylvie again.
Hmm.
All right, so then
I guess
we
the only
go.
other thing I'd point out with that scene was that Miss Minute seemed to kind of create the ruse of like she came up with this like, oh yeah, we have the Void ship, and like that was Miss Minute's idea.
That's
So
true.
I think that came up a couple times in this episode. That I think there's more to Miss Minutes than we know yet.
Well, let's stay with there because I completely missed that. I mean, I was busy taking notes and thinking about it, and I thought there might have been just like secret code going back and forth. Like,
I mean, it
when
might
I
have been that they were like kind of talking with their eyes or whatever, and kind of like, okay, you do that, kind of they knew what to do. But she was the one. Miss Minutes was the one who came up with the idea and seemed to be stalling for time. So, right, I mean,
okay,
was the one
so
communicating to the guards to come because she was the one that seemed to know, like, okay, just a couple more seconds type thing.
we're gonna find out who's behind the curtain, right? Or at least we
Yep.
get a hint. So we'll find out if Miss Minutes is like an AI or
Mm-hmm.
it's a thing, like it has a soul or an intelligence or something. Who knows? So that's a good point. You got a sense that Miss Minutes plays a little bit more of a role in this rather
Yeah.
than just like a computer program, especially with her
Mm-hmm.
interaction with Loki from that one
Yeah.
episode. And you kind
Yeah.
of brought
She's
that
not
up
just
too.
Clippy from Microsoft.
Right, exactly. And you kind of see the starting the conflict with Renona Renslater that she knows what's going on, she doesn't. She knows half the truths, so she wants
Yeah.
to figure it out. And just to kind of clip off the whole segment with her, and we'll drop her for the rest of the episode. She confronts, was it B-15,
B-15. Yep.
and she's like, you let the variant go, and she's like, I want, and you kind of get the sense that she doesn't know who's running the TVA, but she wants to find out, but for to maybe to keep control or take control
Yeah.
type of thing, power wise. But you don't really know her motivations. I mean surface motivations, but there's got to be hidden motivations.
Yeah. I mean, B-52, says like we found out the timekeepers aren't real. That changes everything. And Renslayer says no, it doesn't. And so I don't know. It seems like B-52 is like, no, this is all bad. We need to like just burn down the TVA type thing. And Renslayer, I don't know if she still thinks it's bad or just doesn't know what's going on, but seems to want to keep it going at least in the meantime until she can figure out what's going on.
Question: last episode, do we find out Renslayer, who she is and where she comes from and what her story is? Does she
I
get
think
enchanted?
so. Either enchanted or drops the facade that she really does know more. I think we find out more about her next episode
I,
for
I,
sure.
I hope so. I think what might happen is we last see her. She's investigating the beginning of time with Miss Minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and Miss Minutes says, "Oh, that could take a while," and she said, "That's fine." And they go off and
Yeah.
they do it, and Miss Minutes is kind of like, "Do I? I guess I'll do it for you,
Yeah, she seemed a
but
little hesitant. Like, I don't know if I really want to do this. Like, all right, I guess so. Like, so I don't know if that's again, there's more to her and she doesn't want to comply or what it is. But yeah, she definitely was hesitant to get that information for Renslayer.
yeah." And obviously, I think the obvious ending is she never sees Loki's again, but she confronts Mobius as Mobius goes into burns down the TVA. But
Yeah.
we'll get to that. We'll get to that last bit as we go along.
Yeah,
So
spoiler,
then there's
Mobius is alive too.
yes, spoiler. Hopefully, you've seen the episode before you listen to this. Okay, but she knew that Loki wasn't dead. She explains what the void
Yep.
is. It's the space where they take all the prunings and we drop them off. It's basically the Ragnarok movie Garbage Time versus Garbage Planet, and all the pruned
Yep.
things just end
It's at the
there.
end of time, which is I guess the part that hasn't been figured out yet. And
I don't
but
know,
there's
time
nowhere to come
mystery
out of it. You're
stuff.
just stuck there at the end of time. Yep.
Yes, that's happening. And then we cut to a bunch of Lokis. They're fighting each other. We see President Loki, which Disney Parks blog was trying to spoil everybody
Yeah.
today, but it wasn't really a spoiler because President Loki was just a character. They got his hand bitten off, and then that was it. He was in the show for 5 minutes. It was
Yeah.
a really cool look, and the only Loki that looked like our Loki, I
Yeah.
think. So that was kind of neat. Did you find any interest in anything interesting in the whole sequence in the middle of the episode from where Loki lands on the planet? They tell their kind of stories. Then they have their brawl at the bowling alley. There's a president. There's a king. They're really concerned about kingdoms and betraying each other. It's kind of funny. And then the our Loki leaves and meets up with Sylvie. So we'll cut it off there. So that whole
Yeah.
segment, which is a good 10, 15 minutes, Did you like anything particular about it,
Well, I
or
thought it
what were
was a
your
really
thoughts?
fun scene. I mean, I think there's a lot of good interaction. One thing that stood out to me is everyone kind of talks about what was their Nexus event, almost
Yep.
like they're bragging about it. It almost reminded me of like prisoners, kind of like, oh, what'd you do to get in the clink, and kind of like who is the biggest bad, and they say that Kid Loki is in charge, at least of the smaller group, because he's the one who was able to kill Thor, but the other ones
Right.
are trying to like kind of say what their events were. Um, and then they obviously talk about the alligator Loki, which I kind of am dubbing crocodile. Uh, but when they go into their shelter, there's a ton of Easter eggs in there. You actually see Milner, Thor's hammer, is in the ground for some reason, and then you see Throg, which is the frog version of Thor, in a jar trying to get to it, and like then they just go past it. Like it was just kind of like a little like throwaway. Like okay,
Yep.
but yeah, I agree. It was kind of it was a fun scene. The fight scene was really good. It almost had like made me think of like Scooby Doo music going on while it was
Yeah.
on.
It was a
So it
little
was just fun.
carnival-esque.
It didn't necessarily matter too much. And then, but obviously at the end, boastful Loki turned on them. So at the end, it's just um, classic Loki, Kid Loki, and Crocodile and our Loki escape. And I guess the only other kind of takeaway is that classic Loki tells his story, which is that he faked his own death so that Thanos wouldn't kill him, and he was kind of hiding out on the middle of nowhere on a planet. And then after a while, he just got lonely and wanted to seek out Thor. He realized he missed his brother, and once as soon as he tried to go find Thor, the TVA showed up. So it's sort of like hinting at whenever a Loki does something against their nature, tries to better themselves, whatever it is, that's the Nexus event, because
That's the
that's
next
not what
event. Yep.
Loki isn't supposed to be redeemed. So
That's a good point for bringing it up because it shows that Loki can change, right? He's not
mm-hmm.
always bloodthirsty or conniving or whatever. He can kind of see a different way.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta imagine though, for Loki to get old, he must have been on that rock of a planet for
Yeah,
tens of thousands of years. I don't
yeah,
know.
I
So
guess
very
so.
very long time. And it's interesting that him and our Loki had the same timeline, except for one tried to kill Thanos and one just hid, and that was basically
Yeah.
the only difference. So I thought it was kind of cool. They have the same memories up to that one point.
Mm-hmm.
Um, actually, our Thor doesn't know that point, right? Because he escaped before he got to that point because of the Tesseract. I got to
Right.
keep this
At
straight in
this
everything.
point in the story, he doesn't, but then later
He's
on, he
seen
finds
it
out.
happen, right? He
Yeah,
saw it
exactly.
happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so we kind of see the possibility of change, which allows us to think of the possibilities because then at this point, Sylvie shows up. She prunes
Mm-hmm.
herself. And I was thinking about, Renslayer, before she prunes herself, she goes, do you have, I will lock you up in a pretty good memory. Do you have any? And she says, I only have one, or just one, really. And then she prunes herself. And I think
Yeah.
the one memory is that moment that she was sitting with our Loki,
Yeah.
and that was the only good. Because I was thinking originally it was like that scene from when she was playing as a little girl, right? The first time we saw her.
True. True.
But then I'm
But
like, how can she remember that, or was that a big deal? I mean, that could have been maybe a bad memory because that's when she got
that's
kidnapped. I don't
true.
know.
That's true too. But yeah, I think it's supposed to imply that it's Loki, and she's doing whatever she can because Renslayer told her, well, pruning didn't kill Loki; it just sent him to this place. So she says,
Yep.
okay, if I want to get to Loki, our Loki, then I need to be pruned, and she prunes herself.
Yes, so she shows up and hey, Mobius is alive. Hop in my car. You had the cool comment that reminded you of a Pixar movie that we all
Yeah, it
love
looked
with
like
pizza.
the Pizza Planet truck.
Yep, and I thought that was kind of neat. There was a hidden Mickey you show in one scene with when
Yeah, when
Renslayer
Renslayer
was
goes to
visiting.
talk to B-15, it says Time Theater 38, and the orange kind of cut out in the three looks like a hidden Mickey. So
Not that that means
maybe I'm
anything to
seeing
the
things that
movie.
aren't really there, but
Maybe. In any case, they get together. Mobius is there, and he's like all about like burning down the TVA. We don't know how
yeah,
long Mobius has been there for, which is I thought was
right.
kind of interesting. It seems like he was been there for some time, and I like
Mm-hmm.
to point out that he's the only non-Loki in the whole thing because everything is just Loki's and those weird little
Yeah, and I guess
vase-shaped
it's with
animals.
because Loki survived or whatever, and I guess everybody else because we see. I mean, this is jumping ahead, but when the
Mm-hmm.
towards the end when the ship comes down, there are the sailors on the ship
Right,
that are not Loki's, but they get destroyed right away.
they get
So
eaten right
the
away.
only person able to survive other than the various Lokis is Mobius. So that we
Correct.
know.
So they get together. There's a big, giant, awkward moment where he almost puts his arm around her. They're trying to confess feelings, and it's very difficult for them. But you can kind of see them liking each other, which is what we're getting the hint from old
Yeah.
Loki that they're not all the same and they can change and all that other fun stuff. Um, then the pulls out a data pad and or Sylvie pulls out a data pad. They're ready to confront Eliath. They're going to kill Eliath because Sylvie thinks that's where they're going to find the man behind the curtain. As she appeared, she enchanted Eliath and got a glimpse of
Yeah,
like
so I think
a
it's
castle thing.
Loki's plan was to kill him, and then
Mm-hmm.
Sylvie says, "What are you, an idiot? You can't kill him, but I can enchant him." And so
So
that they
that's
kind of
their
shift their
plan.
plans. Yeah, pretty simple,
So,
but
long story short, old Loki is actually the main distraction. The two Lokis, or Sylvie and Loki, go to confront him, and they get all screwed up. And then all of a sudden, big old man Loki creates this big illusion.
mhm.
Sylvie's like, "Oh, we're more powerful than we think because we're all the same." And then they hold hands and they enchant Eliath together, and it's a very predictable and touching moment. They're holding
Yeah,
hands,
yeah,
and
yeah.
just before they're getting eaten, Loki, the enchanter, the Eliath turns from purple to green, and he clears away, and we could end the end scene of the castle that we saw earlier is there, with maybe a ship flying around it or a flying stingray or something floating
Something
around
like
it.
that. Yeah,
Now, question: does this look like the quantum realm to you in the background there, or is it just kind of more stardust kind of
it could be the
space
quantum
look?
realm. It definitely. I didn't think of that first, but that the color and sort of the striping to the colors
Mm-hmm.
definitely does look like the quantum realm. And then I know there's the whole theory that in the quantum realm was Chronopolis, which is the time where the TVA and the timekeepers are. That you could see it in one of the Ant-Man movies. So that would kind of be fitting if now we're seeing the outside of that city. I don't know. I didn't pick up on that, but that could be true.
Now we're 17 minutes into this episode, and it's been very disjointed.
Yeah,
Right? I've been hopping back
I
and
think the
forth
episode was
because
kind of disjointed.
it's a filler episode. Nothing happened, right? We figure out Renslayer doesn't know what's happening, but she's going to learn more. Everybody's back together again, even though they were all together like 5 minutes before the end of last episode. You know, it
Right.
feels like a very long time. Bunch of Lokis fought each other. It was very fun, very entertaining. I didn't dislike anything. It wasn't like episode 3 where it was kind of drawn out. Like this one is very entertaining. I
Yeah.
really liked it. But again, it could have been an email. I mean, it was nothing was accomplished other than really interesting fights and big special effects.
And I think, yeah, the only thing is they actually did get past this first sort of hurdle or the guard dog, and they actually did accomplish that in this episode versus,
Right.
say, if we're looking at Mandalorian or something like that, it always seemed like the second last episode was just getting everybody together to start the fight. In the last episode, this one at least they kind of accomplished something as far as the fight, and it's just the two of them kind of going on. But yeah, I agree with you that it kind of set up what for the big ending.
It better be a big ending
Yeah, yeah.
because no. Well, let's do this here. Here's the question. So this is the third Marvel series that we've watched. We've had WandaVision, we've had Winter Soldier, and now Loki. Which one had the bigger, the best run up to the last episode, in your opinion?
Hmm. I think overall, like if I'm comparing them, I would say WandaVision. I think there's just a lot of uniqueness between the different episodes, leading up
No,
to
I'm
it.
just saying like the
Okay.
anticipation of the last
Oh,
episode, the
anticipation of
build
the.
up, like
Oh,
the
I got
second to
you.
last episode, that type of thing.
Okay, so like kind of at this point,
Yep.
lead up to the last episode. I think
Yeah,
it. I think it might be Loki,
I'm
um,
agreeing with you then. Okay,
because
good.
I think presuming a lot is going to happen in this last episode, and it's going to lead directly or more or less directly into the next films. And so I think something big things have to happen. So
Mm-hmm.
I am very excited for that. And if big things don't happen and it's just another, Ralph Boner type thing, I will be a little bit disappointed. So I think, as a self-contained show, I really liked WandaVision, but I think this one is the stakes are high. I mean, they're literally can't get much bigger than these stakes. So
Right.
I think at this point, I'm most excited for the finale of Loki compared to where I was on the other shows.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree because WandaVision, every episode was great. There wasn't really any filler episodes. It was just like a nice journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the ending was just another character that may or may not pop back up in a movie somewhere.
Yeah.
Whereas this episode, it's grander scale, like you mentioned. And then I want to know what happens. Like the big thing that was going to happen was all the rumors and speculation on WandaVision, right? It's Mobius.
Yeah.
Where's Mobius? Like where are we going to find
Or
out the big bad?
Mephisto.
Oh, Mephisto. Gosh, yes, Mephisto. Excuse me,
Yeah.
another M word. And this one, it's like there's no conjecture. Like we know Kang is going to pop up somewhere in the MCU,
if
right?
he's not
casted.
in this one, he's coming in
Right.
Quantumania, so we know it's happening.
So whether they bridge to him or not is not going to be a big disappointment to, because we know that he's there. Maybe they go to the castle and it's empty and there's like a picture of him like on a mantle somewhere, or like a big portrait or something. He already escaped, right? Because Renslayer always said like we got to warn whoever created this, right? So maybe he's running away at this point. And the Lokis go in, they just burn everything down because it's an empty castle, and we don't actually see Kang because he's already escaped, but there's the hint, and now we were expecting more for future stories type of thing. So I dig that because I don't expect that we're going to see the big reveal in just a TV show, but we'll see like. I think the most we'll see is when we saw Thanos for the first time, just sitting in the throne in a post.
Right. In a post. I could see a post-credit scene with it.
Something like that, right? But we're going to learn more about the structure of the universe.
Exactly.
And what I hope is whatever we learn next week ties into the Eternals somehow.
Okay.
Right? Or doesn't have to set them up particularly as characters, but sets up their place or the multiverse.
Well, there's all that question of like why weren't they around before? Like what changed so that they're all here now? So maybe it's that event or something.
Yeah,
like that triggers them.
One of, I don't think it was Screen Crush, it might have been, that did a really awesome family tree of Marvel, like the power levels. Mm-hmm. And I hope we get like a little bit of an explainer or at least Easter eggs that allow YouTube creators to say, hey, by the way, this is this, and I can get my entertainment from it that way. Yeah, so I'm anticipating an awesome show next week, and I think there's going to be a lot of good. Just probably is already. I haven't looked at it for YouTube content from YouTube creators like Screen Crush and some of the other guys that kind of put some cool stuff out there. So, any other big takeaways from this episode? Anything that I did not bring up? Because again, I think it's a filler episode.
No, I think I mean I was jumping back and forth because we jumped in back and forth. So I was looking through my notes. I mean, I think we mentioned briefly that ship that came down, the USS Eldridge. Which,
right.
If you look back in history, it had a lot of like strange things happen to it, where it like went invisible and stuff like that. So I don't think it's super pertinent to the storyline, but I just like how they were taking sort of real world mysteries that we know and sort of
that was
pulling
cool.
them into this world. So all those connections I think are just great. But kind of big storyline wise, I think we hit on all the key things. It's going to find out, what does Renslayer find out about the beginning of time, and does that help her stop them, or does she realize that no, she needs to take down the TVA, and that's so kind of set up bad angles coming, and then whatever's happening in that castle. So I mean, I think there's two big things to come.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a Mobius Renslayer timeline next week, and then we're going to get the Loki timeline, and hopefully the end. I hope there's two post-credit scenes. One that sets up the next movie or show or something, and then the post-credit is Mobius on a jet ski somewhere going into the sunset, doing something.
If this show does not have him in the jet ski, it will be a fail, but we'll see.
It will be a fail. All right, we're going to wrap it up here. That was a good, quick episode. And guys, make sure if you're listening to this, hop over to our YouTube channel. We just hit over 50 subscribers. Thank you very much. We need 100, so we want to make a URL that actually makes sense. It's not gibberish, so we need 100 to do that. So keep hitting subscribe and likes. We appreciate the viewership and the downloads. I know our audience is growing. We appreciate that also. So make sure you subscribe to us on any of your podcast platforms. And on Sunday, we'll go ahead and do our normal weekly show. But until then, guys, have a good one and take care.
Take care, everyone.